Alrighty. The tier list you didn't know you were waiting on. No, that was the edibles tier list. This is the myth unit tier list. This is the one you really wanted. You knew you wanted this one, and we're going to give it to you. So, to start off with, we're going to be separating these into their different ages. So, we've got to start with age 1. Age 1. Age 1. I don't think that Hades Shade is actually a myth unit. It's not a myth unit. So, whoever made this list, you're fired. What else is age 1? Is that it? Oh, Hippocampus. What else is in here? I think that's all of the age 1 units. Okay. What is the best? Well, Raven is the best, followed by Pegasus, followed by Hippocampus. Hippocampus is a cost population? No. So the reason why the Raven is the best is because it's free population. The reason why the Pegasus is behind this one is actually a decent unit. It's because it can be spammed in order to tank damage from stray archers. And then Hippocampus comes here. These are all S-tier myth units in the Archaic Age, though, because if you get access to them, that's just something your opponent doesn't get access to. Do you know what I mean? So that's that one. Let's get the next age, the more interesting age. Let's get quickly into it. We got Anubites, these guys, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. This guy. There's a lot of guys. This guy. This guy. This guy. This guy. This guy. This guy. Alrighty. Oh, this guy as well. Okay, so what is the best myth unit here? So the question is, do you go by the actual practical use or which one's actually the best? Because obviously the Cyclops is the best myth unit in the classical age by quite a wide margin, but its costs are so high that you don't ever see it spammed. So normally when people go Ares, it's literally you just get the one Cyclops and then you stop there. So I don't feel like I can say this is an S tier myth unit just based on the cost. Just based on the cost. So the next step is to say, okay, well, maybe then do we talk about the myth units that can be spammed as the best? Are these ones the best that could be possibly spammed? Maybe even this to some degree. Is this the next bet? Oh, this one as well. Are these the best myth units? Even Wadget can be spammed. I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. Oh, I think the answer has to be somewhere in the middle. So we have to say, firstly, can it be spammed? And secondly, is it good? So I'm going to start off with the Sphinx, the Anubite in the top because they're both incredibly good. I think the Centaur is good, but it's not used in all of the games, so it's not actually that great. Let's just chuck it down there as a reminder to think about it. What else is in here? So the classical age myth units for the Norse, they're all not that great. The Valkyrie is okay. The Einhjar is great in certain situations, but you don't get to build them that often. They're hard to put on the list. This whole list is hard, man. Prometheans, I think that the if I had to say for the Atlanteans, I'd say that obviously I'd say that this is the order in which the myth units go for the Atlanteans. The Wadget is terrible, so let's put that at the bottom. Minotaur is good. Minotaur is probably in a similar position to the Centaur, to be honest. And then the question is, how often do you... Okay, so obviously... Okay, so the only ones I've placed thus far is the Sphinx and the Avenger. No, the Anubite. The Sphinx and the Avenger. Whether or not they're going to stay there is a different question. So let's just go through them. So in cases where you spam the Valkyrie, they are very rare, but when you do spam the Valkyrie, I see Norse players having a lot of success. Especially if you get Shield Maiden that's just a Shield Maiden thing. This is hard. This is hard. Okay. At the very least, I think that this is correct in this order for all of the gods. But where do they actually belong? Because okay, so let's start. Okay, let's just go. At the very least, Minotaur is here. Centaur has to be A tier. They have to be A tier. Shield Maiden Valkyrie has to be at least A tier. Einhjar, probably an A tier myth unit as well. Let's say that these two go. This is kind of trash, but you can spam it. So it's going to go here. Caladria is kind of useless. It can go in D tier. Servant can go in D tier. I think the Troll and the Wadjet are very similar in their usages. They're both exactly the same in terms of what they actually do. They're slow ranged myth units that heal when they shoot. And they are basically the same thing. So we're going to put them in C tier. We don't see them used very often. When we do see them spammed, it's desperation spamming. And it doesn't do too much. Wadjet greater than Troll. Yeah, okay, I'll see that. But no, the Troll was buffed. I think the Troll is better than the Wadjet now. I think it is. Okay, so now we have to go ahead and look at this a little bit more detail. Sphinx Avenger. Sorry, Sphinx and Nubite. Good. Is the Shield Maiden Valkyrie in this level? Yes. I'm going to go ahead and say the Shield Maiden Valkyrie is in this level. With the completely upgraded Sphinx, a Nubite, Shield Maiden Valkyrie, she doesn't have as much impact as Sphinx and a Nubite. I'm taking her down. I think that these two myth units have way more impact than the Valkyrie. I think that the Minotaur with the upgrade maybe actually has more impact, and same with the Centaur. No, I think that these two myth units have more impact than a Valkyrie. 100%. I think Einhjar, when it's used, has a lot of impact, but it doesn't get used very often. And does that mean that it should be bumped down? I'm going to bump it down. I think that it is possibly better than these. Is the Cyclops better though? The fact that you only ever build one makes the Cyclops kind of undesirable, but it's so good in its own one of. So I'm going to pop it up here. Okay, so the reason why these are actually better than you think is because they don't cost resources. The favor comes for free. So maybe these actually do end up becoming better because they only cost a small amount of gold. So they're very cheap, but you can only get so many of them because the favor's free. It doesn't cost any resources. I reckon that's it. I reckon that's it. Is that close? I don't know if this is exactly what I think, but I think that's what we're going with. All right, that's age 2. All right, let's go to age 3. Anubite number 1, not Sphinx. In my experience, the Anubites are only good against Norse and maybe Atlantean, whereas the Sphinx are good against everyone. So I just give them the versatility tick. All right, so we're in the heroic age. So you, even though you're hardly a myth unit, you, Is that it? Did I miss any? I think that's it. Hopefully I didn't miss any. Great. Alrighty, so best myth units. Let's just go by the ones that you see a lot first. I think that is the ones you see the most of. The Rock is obviously S++ tier, but got nerfed, so you have to take it down a tier. Mr. Bird next to the Sphinx. Oh, Stymphalian Bird. Stymphalian Bird's actually quite good as well. Alrighty, let's just start with these ones because we know that all these are kind of the weaker of the myth units. So I think Frost Giant is the best. I think that's fairly well. I think everyone can agree. Sure, Scorpion Man is a spammable myth unit, but I don't think it's that good. Okay, so I think that this is great. I think 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 all of these. I think Frost Giant has its own tier. I'm sorry. I think Frost Giant has its own tier. I think Nemean Lion belongs up here because it can be spammed easier, or it can be spammed more decisively than the Battle Ball. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's. Oh God, no! It's going here. Man, I don't want to place the Rock. The Rock just doesn't fit into any criteria. It's in its own tier. We'll think about it later. How do we feel about this list thus far? Say tiers are so good. They're so good. There's no way this is worse than there's no way this is as good as a Nemean Lion. Because remember, Atlantean's favor is free. So this only costs wood. Everything else about this is so, it's like, and it's a solid unit. It's basically like a better version of the Manticore. And especially because you can upgrade it. So we're going to do that. Nemean Lion can get an upgrade better than the Battle Ball, but you never really get it, even if you are spamming it and you want to save Battle Ball better than Nemean Lion. Let's go with yes. I think that's true. I think the Scorpion Man sits below the Nemean Lion. All right. This Dryad here is the free population unit, but it's not underwhelming. But where does it sit? I think it probably sits in actually a similar... No, it's not as good as a Battle Ball. It's probably in a similar level to the Scorpion Man. But Scorpion Man gets Eclipse. Scorpion Man's really good at raids. I'm going to put it there. I'm going to put Dryad C tier. Okay, so everything else, let's get another row. Add row below. E tier. Everything else. Okay. Let's have a water tier list by itself because that's the only thing that's fair. I would just say that it's an E tier, but just know that that's the water tier list. This is how it goes, by the way. Kraken is the best, but you can't spam it. Scarlet is the second best, but you can spam it, but you don't want to spam it. Nereid comes after that because it's good for fishing ship raids, but you never use it because everyone's bad. Leviathan is kind of useless. It does help on Anatolia, though. But on Midgard and Mediterranean, it kind of feels lackluster. Okay, so next question is, does the resource cost make Scorpion Man better than these two? Okay, I think that this is right. I think that these four are right. I think that this is right, except I'm not sure if Scorpion Man belongs above or below Nemean Lion. I'm not sure about that. I think that the Dryad is slightly worse than these, but because it costs no population, it's probably would be considered one of these as well. I think that, okay, we have to actually sort out these units here in the D tier. Maybe Hydra can chuck up here into the Dryad tier. I think maybe that's a good vibe. Manticore is the worst. Mountain Giant is the best of the Siege myth units. Scarab is better than the Behemoth on the fact that you have Eclipse and Shifting Sands. You do have Vortex, though, so that kind of evens out a little bit. And does the Manticore ever actually help? Because maybe Manticore comes up here as well. And the Stymphalian Bird, let's just, for everybody out there who hates Stymphalian Bird, let's just memely put it in the S tier, but we're just going to call this, this is not a myth unit that is easily placed on this tier list. It's not, because given the nerf, the Rock is either here or here. Right? So either it's absolutely useless or there's nothing you can do to stop it. So given that's the fact, I'm going to put it right smack bang in the middle. Right smack bang in the middle. So, okay, so the boar, the only time you go for Bragi is with Loki. So you have to keep that in your consideration because you're going to go with the Frost Giant for Thor because Frost is better or Skadi is better than Bragi in nearly every single situation. So Battle Ball only comes with Loki and Loki gets tons of favors. So he's going to spam Battle Ball. It's nearly inevitable. Nemean Lion, you basically Poseidon or Hades, and you will be able to spam this if you want to, if you feel like it's necessary. Scorpion Man, you will be able to spam it as well. All of those are spammable. They're all good. You don't want to spam Hydra. Very rarely do I ever see anyone making Hydra win. Same with Manticore. Mountain Giants. The thing is a Mountain Giant better than these? Because you're Norse and you get the favor for free for fighting. You don't get it for free, but it's free. So is it better? And it helps out a lot with Norse pushing. So is this covers up of a glaring weakness of Norse. I'm going to put the Mountain Giant into this tier. Not as good as a Battle Ball. Not as good as a Nemean Lion. I'm going to put it above the Dryad. That's where I'm going to put it. Imagine if Loki spammed 6 Hydras instead. Battle Balls cost gold. Hydras cost food. You don't have the food to spam the Hydras ever. So, all right. I reckon that's my list. That'll do. I reckon that's pretty good. Let's go to the next one. We're going to Mythic Age. Everyone, does no one agree? This will do. This will do. All right. Next one, we go Mythic Age. Mythic Age. Mythic Age. Yes. Fenris, Heka. Yormund, Lampede, Man O' War. There's a lot of Mythic Age myth units, to be honest. It's wild that they made that many, considering they don't get built that often. That's not a myth unit you can build. I'm not going to rank it. I think that's all of them. All right. So, immediately off the bat, I see the Chimera. I see the Avenger. I see the Colossus. I see the Fire Giant. I see the Hecagiganti. I see them. Okay, so these are all in their own tier. Not necessarily in their own tier. We'll just split. Okay, we'll start with the water myth units because they're the easiest. Yorman Elf is good. Everything else is trash. Though this Karkanos actually has some usage which you never get to see. It's got a special ability not many people know about. This myth unit, when it dies, detonates and it deals damage. So it actually has a use that you can use. You can move up and delete it on the shore and get a ton of damage done onto units that are on the shore. It's kind of like a demo ship in Age of Mythology, but I haven't seen it used ever. So it's kind of useless. Man O' War is role-playing as Son of Osiris, but shit, and the War Turtle is probably better than Man O' War. So I think the Yorman Elver has a lot of use in pretty much every map that has water, and it's probably S tier when you can actually use it, but because it's a water myth unit, I'm just going to put it in D tier, but I do think this is a very, very strong myth unit. Okay, so the next question is what goes first? I think the Fire Giant's the best myth unit here. Of all the myth units, I think the Fire Giant's the best. The question is which is actually the next best? So the Colossus, a lot of people, I think the Colossus is probably here because the only real way to counter a Colossus is with a one-hit unit. So it's probably has to sit here. Chimera, Avenger are both the raiding myth units. The Hecagigantes is it's really good, but it's not. If you don't have Vortex, Hecagigantes is useless, right? Hecagigantes is useless. So maybe this doesn't even belong up here. If you don't have Vortex, it's a useless unit. Fenris Wolf is only good in team games. I've never seen it. I don't think it's ever had any real good use in a 1v1, so I'm going to put that down into the C tier. Phoenix is good against Norse, but kind of trash against literally everything else. So if it's against Norse, it's in the S tier. So we're going to just bump it down to B tier because it's trash against everything else. But just remember, it's really good against Norse. Okay, so the Mummy, let's just put these guys all into the A tier then, because that's what's left. Because they can counter everything, and generally if you can counter something, that's good. Of all of these, which one is the best? Probably Mummy, Lampede are in a similar boat. The Argus is definitely the worst. And the Medusa, is the Medusa better than the Lampede? I'm going to go ahead and just say it is better than the Lampede. Avengers are really, really good. You guys don't know what you're talking about if you think Avengers aren't good. The question is then, are the one-hit myth units better than these units? Because they counter them? Does Argus go into the B tier? Probably. Is Argus better than Hecaganti? I mean, the Argus is really, really bad. You're absolutely right. All right, let's put Argus at the very bottom because he's kind of useless. He does get the move speed buff when he's upgraded though. But we'll just chuck him down the bottom. That makes sense. So these are the best rating myth units. These are the best overall myth units. These are the best one hits. These are kind of useless except for the Phoenix against Norse. And maybe actually against Greek, the Phoenix can have some value because you can split them up and then the ranged hero can't deal with all the locations you're getting attacked from. So maybe it does belong above the Hecaganti. So the thing is though, the Hecaganti is really good if you have Vortex. But as soon as Vortex is gone, it's not good. So you get like 3 uses of Hecaganti as being good. So maybe let's just... it's probably not as bad as I've got him ranked. It's hard to rank him. Anyways, I'm going to leave that list there. That's it. That's all we got. Myth unit tier list done. Follow the Twitch. Follow the YouTubes. See you in the next one.